We like to keep things fun and light here on Sister Night, but it goes without saying that certain events in life cannot be ignored or glossed over. We want to send our thoughts, prayers, and deepest condolences to the people of Syria, especially those affected by the recent chemical warfare, leaving so many families broken. At times like these, when everything feels bleak, we need to be the helpers. So we are posting some ways you can help, either by donating money, volunteering your time, or contacting your elected government officials. Please check it out on our website, www.sisternightpodcast.com. We continue to pray for peace in that region of the world. Thank you for listening. Now on with our show. Welcome to Sisters Night, our weekly podcast show where we discuss pop culture, the latest happenings, and dish advice on all things from love and relationships, business and career, and adulting in your 20s and 30s. My name is Maddie, and joining me every week are my sisters Cindy and Charlotte. Behind the scenes, we also have our brother Josh, who's in charge of all the sound editing stuff.
So now is the time for El Bochinche.
Hey girls!
How's everyone doing this week?
Good. Kind of a crazy week on my end. How about you guys?
Yeah,
I had a
super
pretty
busy.
eventful week as well. What about you, Ash?
Yeah, me too. It's been really busy getting back into the groove of things, but I'm happy to be back with renewed energy and we're hitting the ground running. So that's good. So what'd you guys do this week? Anything fun? Exciting? New? Maddie, what about you?
Well, this week has been, this whole last 2 months have been super stressful, but this week especially has been stressful. We, as you guys know, I work in the financial industry, so this time of year is probably our busiest, along with year end. It's tax season, so it's been crazy in the office. I've had more than one little mini meltdown. So for me,
yeah, we've had all those.
Yeah, so tax season has not been fun. We tried to liven up things by going on a date night last night. Kleber and I, my husband and I. Charlotte was our sitter.
Yay!
And, I feel bad. It didn't go the way I planned, I had built this date night up in my head, but after a long day at the office, I was just so stressed out and so upset, and I brought it with me on date night, and it just kind of killed the vibe. And I don't know. So we had date night, but it wasn't fantastic, unfortunately.
But you'll
Well,
try
that's real life right
again.
there.
Yeah. You're going to try again.
I know. I just feel like, I built it up a little bit. We both did, and then life happened. So, what could you do?
But I feel like this is a really big and important part of your relationship and your new life, right? Because up till now, how many years has it just been you and Kleber?
It has been a very long time. I mean, we've been married. It's going to be 9 years in May, and we've been dating even longer than that. I would say it's going to be I think it's 16 years now that we've been together. So it's a while. It's definitely new to factor in a baby into the mix. But, it really wasn't the baby's fault. It was just work. No. It was just work and bringing work home, and I need to be better about that. But you know what? Tax season, I've been thinking about it. It's 3 months of PMS. It's just, you're crabby, you're moody, it's miserable. It's the worst 3 months ever. But the finish line is around the corner, so I'm really excited about that.
Cindy, that's like when the state or JACO comes to visit. That's basically our PMS time, right, Sin?
Yeah, in the hospital.
Yeah.
Well, I was lucky enough to work night shifts, so I would avoid them altogether, but not anymore, actually. I guess I could start with my bochinche. I started a new job this week in North Carolina.
Yes, tell us about that.
Yes,
Nice.
exciting. So I'm going through hospital orientation. It's a new job at the PACU. For those that are not familiar with hospital terminology, it's the post-anesthesia care unit. Basically, anybody that comes out of surgery comes to me first, and it'll be quite different. Not only is it going to be day shift, but I'll be taking care of adults as well as children and babies.
Oh.
So
Aww.
yeah, so it's going to be interesting. It should be interesting, and starting the new job. So, I mean, I'm meeting people, but the sad part is the people that I'm meeting are actually going to a separate campus. There's multiple, campuses that this hospital has. So, we'll see. I don't have I'm not really worried about the job. I'm just worried about maybe the change in day shift, because day shift is completely opposite nights, and it'll be a different
vibe.
Oh yeah, a
definitely.
completely different vibe for sure.
So,
Tell us about your mini honeymoon. How did that go?
oh, excellent. So wonderful. Jeffrey and I went to Asheville, North Carolina, and I would highly recommend it to anyone that wants to just take a quick getaway. It's a real artsy town. There's art.
That's what I've heard.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. It's a lot of restaurants, a lot of art galleries, a lot of pottery, great food. And then we were lucky enough to be able to book an appointment at the Grove Park Inn Spa, which is one of the top spas in the U.S.
Wow.
And we had an amazing time. Yes.
Nice.
Definitely.
What treatments did you guys get?
So he got a pedicure. When he was there, he was like, "Oh, I need a pedicure," and the pedicure he booked last minute, it was $120.
God damn.
Wow. Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was so crazy. After the fact,
He
we're
better
like,
be
"Oh,
kissing his
shit."
toes for that much money.
It was like a pedicure and a foot massage, but then we both I had booked us a couples indulgent treatment, which was really nice. Yeah, it was an exfoliation, a dry exfoliation, a wet exfoliation. They put a body mask on you, and then they massage you. So it was really an indulgent treat for both of us.
How long did that
Wow,
take?
nice.
They were doing 70 minutes. I think the whole thing took us 80 minutes, 70 minutes, something like that. And then they gave us little dry brushes as little gifts. But I truly recommend it. It was expensive as well. I'm not going to say how much, but if you're in town, you have to check it out. You really have to check out the spa. You might as well.
Do you get to keep those really nice robes? Because I love the robes that you get at a spa. If they could just give that.
They don't give you
You
the
can
robes.
buy it.
No. But it was a two-floor spa. I'd never been to a spa like that. It was 2 floors. It was huge, and it was
I
just
actually
awesome.
have a friend that went to that same spa, and it looked gorgeous. It looked kind of like a grotto in there.
It is
right?
it is like a grotto. It's like rocks. It's like an indoor cave. It really is awesome. It was an awesome experience. So,
very nice.
yeah.
Next time we go to North Carolina, maybe I'll make a side trip there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it is 3.5 hours away from me, so it's definitely at least a day out there would be nice. You'd have to take a separate day.
Well, that sounds like the ultimate date night for you, Missy. That would be a good idea.
It was
Who, for me?
Yeah, after tax
definitely.
season, and we all need to be pampered
we
a little
love
bit.
We haven't been to a spa like that, but we have had couples massages for our anniversary in the past, and it's the best. We did the couples massage and facial, and then we went off to our anniversary dinner. It was the best.
Yeah.
I made Cleaver a converter there.
That's always
A convert,
funny to
I
me
should say.
because you feel so refreshed after a massage, and then you just fill yourself up to the brim, and you're like, oh, I'm so full.
Very true. Very true.
That's
but
true. Yes.
But
But anyways, all in all, it was a good week. Ashley, what about you?
I haven't done anything as lavish as date night or spas or anything. But I have been trying to get to the gym in the mornings, and it has been a struggle. Let me tell you, I actually just came back from dinner with my friend Natavia. I was just telling her that is the hardest part. Waking up, Madeline, I don't know how you did it at 5 a.m., those spin classes.
I don't know. I was really motivated back then. I can't seem to find that same motivation anymore, I have to say.
It's not easy waking at the crack of dawn. It definitely isn't.
It's not easy waking up early, but waking up early to work
out. Yes, exactly.
So hard.
It's like different. Like I could wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning if it's like I'm going to the beach. You know what I mean? Or like I'm taking a plane to go somewhere fun and exciting, but when it comes to like the gym, it's like I am literally fighting with myself. Do I go? Am I rationalizing it this day? Am I gonna am I gonna trick myself into it, or am I gonna stay in bed? What am I gonna do today?
Are you gonna cut your calories to make up for the fact that you didn't wake up early?
Exactly. So that's been an interesting struggle.
I'm curious, what time are you waking up to go to the gym?
I wake up at 4:45 to get there at 5 a.m. so I could work out, do 30 minutes of cardio and 30 minutes of weight training, and then get home, get to the shower, and leave the house by 6:30 so I can get to work by 7. So that is my goal.
How about like just taking a shower at the gym and going from the gym? That may like give you an extra half hour.
Yeah, I could do that, but you know, I just like public bathrooms give me the total creeps. You know what I mean?
I agree with that. I don't really use the public showers either.
And it's so close to my house. It's literally like up the street that I rather just drive up the road.
You can't justify it.
Yeah, I rather just drive up the road and take a shower. But
well, I hear you on the struggle. I've been after I got my bike and I was all gung-ho about it, then with the wedding and everything, I got off my routine and I just haven't been able to get back on it. And it's so frustrating because it's like I did it once before. Like I was getting up at 5 in the morning, so I know I can do it. I just haven't gotten into that mental scope, like into that mental vibe that you need to be in to work out and be on it. The good thing is that when you wake up early and do it, that's it. You're done for the day. And then you make better choices throughout the day because you worked out in the morning, so you don't want to mess that up.
Yeah, the best part, my favorite part of working out in the morning is that when I come home from work, I don't have to feel guilty about not doing anything except like relaxing or chilling when I come home because I already did what I needed to do in the morning. So that's really the best part, I feel like. So that's but that's the war every day with myself waking up in the morning. So I want to start on the Sisters Are Doing It For Themselves segment, and this week I wanted to do something a little different. I know we decided we're going to do Sisters Are Doing It For Themselves, but I ran into these actually 2 awesome podcasts. They are not sisters. They're actually 2 gentlemen one is from Vegas and one is from LA, and they're so much fun. The ones from Vegas, Latinos Who Lunch, they are
I like that name too.
They are so fun. Like the moment that I turned them on, they had me laughing. They're Mexican, they're gay, they're in Vegas, and they are so much fun. They kept me laughing and giggling, and it was just a lot of fun. They touched up on a lot of interesting topics that I actually want to talk about tonight and get your opinions on. So those are the Latinos Who Lunch, and also the Tamarindo podcast. Another gentleman, it's a podcast with a guy and girl, and they they work together to interview other successful Spanish people, which they've interviewed. I only had a chance to listen to 2 episodes. One is this one cupcake girl called Viva Los Cupcakes, and she does like really cool cupcakes in the flavors of like tamarindo, horchata, or she even did one
That's
like really
cool.
really fun.
It sounds interesting.
Yeah, really fun flavors. And then they did an interview with this really fun music group of young kids that I listened to a couple of their songs, and they were really good. So I like that vibe, getting out there. It made me feel like a little bit in touch with my Latin side, which I feel like we don't get a chance to do too much out here. So I really like that. I think I recommend it highly, and I think you guys should take a second to listen to it too.
Well,
I definitely will.
I'll check it out for sure. So that's cool. I like that. I like that sisters are doing it for themselves. Sisters.
Yes. So if you guys think of anybody who we think, that we're impressed by or we think that deserves a shout out, definitely bring it up to the next week's podcast. So the next thing I want to bring up is the film Moonlight. And while I was listening to these podcasts that I talked to you about, Tamarindos and Latinos Who Lunch, they brought some really good points up. One of the questions, or one of the things that they hit on, and I want to get your opinion on this, is do we think that Americans like to see minorities suffer? They continually typecast us in these characters who are struggling. Like in the movie Moonlight, for example, the mother was a crackhead. Why did she have to be a crackhead? Do you know what I mean?
Well, in that particular movie, I know for a fact that she was based off the writer's mom. Oh. So it was kind of based on a true story. But yeah, I do agree that a lot of times, you do see a lot of those roles. I don't see too many roles of successful.
Right. And
I mean, I especially Latinos. Forget about.
Oh yeah.
You never really see too many successful Latinos in TV and films. You see the sexy Latina. You see.
Yeah, like a Modern Family. She's got to be sexy, but can't she work too? Like, why is it that her money has to come from her white husband? Also, another movie that was pretty popular this year was Hidden Figures. Cindy, did you ever get a chance to see that? Hidden Figures?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No, I didn't.
Well, it was about the 3 black women who, just built themselves up in NASA. Apparently, I heard that the character that Kevin Costner played never existed in real life. In real life, they created him because they needed a white hero to offer them a chance, the main character, a chance to move up, and I was like, that's ridiculous. And that's also based on true story. So tell me, like, what do you guys think? Do you think it's real? Do you think that Hollywood is just using this type formula and like mass producing these movies, and they just like to see minorities in the same kind of role, whether it's black, Hispanic, Asian, and they like to hear they like to see the white American figure as a hero. What do you think on that?
I guess I'll start. I think that just like I feel like in media, those people, the higher ups in media who are, even behind Disney and let's just take Disney for example, all these princesses, it's like, they play a role for women, like helpless, and they need a prince to save them. You know what I mean? I feel like, they casted that stereotype, and that they're casting these stereotypes, you know what I mean? Because people feel comfortable with these roles. Maybe we feel comfortable. Like, I remember when the Star Wars movie came out, the new one, I went with Joshua and Jeff to watch it, and they switched kind of the role in the new movie, and it was like the woman was, more of the main player, and I appreciated the concept, but at the same time, it was so against the original storyline, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if it's intentional. It may be intentional. I'm not saying it's not, but I do also understand that certain people are comfortable and they're just used to a certain storyline. There's not to me. I don't think that we should let media affect us and affect us to the point that we can't feel capable of achieving great things and going beyond that, stereotype. Just because, with this new girl, the Cash Me Outside girl, they took her on the show and they were like, oh, she's acting black. No, she's not acting black. She's acting ghetto. You know what I mean? Or she's acting a certain type of being. There's no such thing as that. So, I mean, take it with a grain of salt. I take all media with a grain of salt because I don't let that influence me too much because there's a lot out there and they try to persuade you to different things. But yes, I don't think that the Americans enjoy seeing minorities struggle, but at the same time, they're comfortable. That's what they know. And they may be uncomfortable seeing them, successfully rise to a different level. Let's make them, see it not only in media. Let's let them see it in real life. We don't only need to be doing landscaping and doing, house cleaning. We are capable of bigger and better things for ourselves in real lives. I don't really, I get what the media is trying to do, but me personally, I don't take it as a personal thing. I try to reach my own personal goals, if you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Maddie. What do you think?
Well, I think that going back to what Cindy said, we need to put our money where our mouth is. Right now in the United States, there's about 56 million Latinos. So we're a big population group. I think that we have a lot of power when it comes to our money, how much, where we're spending our money. If we want to see these things being made for us, if we need to support the kind of media that we're going to have to support programming that shows Latinos in a better light. Like, if Modern Family right now with Sofia Vergara, I love Sofia Vergara, but she's also dishing out a stereotype that, is kind of harmful to Latinos. So whenever there's Latin programming, we need to support it so we can see more of it. Right now, there's no money in that. Except for Telemundo or Univision. Whenever there's like a new Spanish program that they launch, it's not successful because we don't watch.
Right.
So how,
Agreed.
So that, I think that's the key. We need to watch. We need to watch the programming that's out there because if not, they're not going to make it.
I think
they're not going to make it for us, huh?
Veering off the topic a little bit, now that you mention it, Telemundo and stuff, I never watched Telemundo, and I never listened to Spanish radio. Because
you don't, but there's a bunch of people that do.
I realize that. No, I definitely realize that. But I come into, and you guys, I could say you guys, my sisters, are in the same category as me, where we are Hispanic, but we're Americanized. You know what I mean?
Well, we're second generation.
Yeah, and we talk mostly English. Like, if I speak Spanish, it'll be to mommy, and it'll be a few words here and there. Like, I won't really go and watch a show like that. You know what I mean? Like Telemundo, like that won't appeal to me. So I agree. Like, this is what we're doing here, what we're shouting out to Tamarindo Podcast and Latinos Who Lunch. Supporting other businesses, people, and other Latinos. I know your sister-in-law Maddie Priscilla has her cake business, and I supported her before when she helped me out with the birthday cake. She has a cake business. Supporting other Latinos doing other big things, that's gonna help us.
I agree. I think that's what I mean by putting your money where your mouth is. Let's help each other out. Let's, support each other. I think that's what we're lacking in the Latino community, where other communities that I see, like the Black community, I see it in the Jewish community, I see it in some other European immigrant communities, the Indian communities, where they help each other out. They support each other's businesses and they refer businesses amongst themselves. I don't see that we do a lot of that as Latino. And it's probably because we come from so many different countries that we don't see each other as Latinos. We see each other as Dominican or Puerto Rican or Cuban or, you know what I mean?
Right.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
I think there's power in numbers. And I think we need to stop seeing what divides us and seeing ourselves as different countries and really start seeing us as a whole in this country. Because the reality is non-Latinos see us as a
Absolutely.
whole.
Yeah.
They don't see us as Dominican or Mexican or this. They see us as all Hispanics.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So,
and it's crazy because as the second generation, I think that we grew up in the United States. We speak English. We go to the schools. We graduate from the universities. We work in the companies, and we feel American. But does America feel as if we are American? And I think that there is a difference. I don't think they see us as American. I think they see us as Hispanic and immigrants or inferior. Because I remember at work the other day, someone was talking about, I won't even mention who, they were talking about, immigration, the law, the wall or whatever, that ridiculous wall. And they were saying, "You Hispanics," and they looked at me and they said, "You Hispanic immigrants," right? And I didn't say anything. I just looked at them, and actually they be quiet. They were quiet after that, but it just made me realize that they don't see me as an American. I have my freaking passport. I was born in this country.
But you were born here.
I don't even have a citizenship in a Dominican Republic, and they don't see that. They see me as a culture that, is quote unquote inferior, typecast to these roles that they are making. And my problem with, yes, I agree completely. Like, I don't look at Hollywood and say, okay, that's me. But my problem is that we are growing. We're a huge group in a population, right? And we're having kids. And we're putting money and we're investing money into this country. And we're investing money into our schools and our jobs. And they're going to watch movies. They're going to go to the schools and stuff. Are they going to continue to treat our kids and project that image onto them? That's my problem. I don't want my kids or my family growing up with that image saying, okay, well, this is all you can amount to.
Well, I mean, I think we veered off the subject a little bit, but I just want to touch on what Ashley said with, you can't help what people are going to think about you. You can't help what people are going to say about you. You can only control what you do and how you react to them. I've had various instances in my past where, people want to put you in a box, and they will put you in a box, but you have to prove to them otherwise, and they won't see, again, going back to the stereotyping where I said people are comfortable seeing you in a certain light, just like Disney princesses, just like, like American media, they feel comfortable saying you Hispanics. They see a different color skin, different hair, and you're already an immigrant to them. They don't realize you are a U.S. citizen. You were raised in suburbia, and you went to they don't see any of that, but they can say and see that's ignorance. So don't go down to they're small-minded. Don't go down to their level. I would say try to rise above it, because then you know what I mean? That's what I would do. Or I would try to do. Yeah.
I think we, unfortunately or fortunately, we're a pretty newish culture in the U.S.
Correct.
Compared to, let's say, the African American community. They've been here, since slavery, since
before,
hundreds,
yes, correct.
Hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
So
we're so we're
well, hundreds of years. I don't think it was hundreds at the slavery. Slavery was not too long ago. I wouldn't say hundreds.
At least the 1800s.
Right.
So,
well, okay.
The duration of it.
Yeah, much longer than Hispanics.
I think it's like 400. Yeah, much longer than
the majority of Hispanics. Right.
Yes, much longer than Hispanics in this country. So, you know, it's going to take a couple generations for us to get to that, you know, that level where we're fully integrated. I always talk to mom about, you know, first generation immigrants that come here, like mom, like other people that came from their countries to start a new life here in the U.S. I feel like the problem with Hispanics, and I'm keeping it real, is that a lot of the new, you know, the generations that came here, they come here for a better life, but then they end up wanting to retire back at home. I feel, at least in, you know, in our circles that we've encountered, I see a lot of that, where they come, you know, they come here, but they're saving their nest egg, again, because cost of living is very expensive here, and they probably have very, you know, humble jobs. A lot of people want to go back to their country, and they also miss it, you know. They miss the culture, they miss their family, and they want to go back. I think what we need to do, and that's where we, you know, you, Charlotte, myself, Josh, and future generations like my son Jonas, we start cementing our seed here. You know, it didn't start with our parents. I think a lot of our parents want to go back, probably want to retire back in their home country. But this is my home. I don't see myself retiring in the Dominican Republic. I have no ties to the Dominican Republic. So I think we'll start seeing future generations, as our kids continue to grow, that will become more assimilated in this country, and you know, hopefully be taken a little more seriously. Right. Because unfortunately I feel like that's where we're at right now. We're still new. First generation is still trying to figure out their place here, but I think, like us and our future kids, this is their home. So I think in 2 or 3 generations to come, we're going to see Latinos play a bigger, you know, probably more important part in the scope of this country, you know, the landscape.
I would hope so. I definitely hope so.
So what do you think about the Kendall Jenner Pepsi commercial? That was kind of crazy. Did you hear about it?
I sure did.
Yeah, that was
What did you think about the whole controversy? Was it warranted? Was it not warranted?
I mean, it was warranted to us. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm just, it was warranted to a certain extent. I think people blow things, again. I think people are, like, so worried about things like, they blow it out of the water. Like, I really, really think that people have nothing else better to do with themselves, or that they're blowing this out of the water, when really the focus today should have been those people in Syria and that chemical attack and how awful and devastating that was. Instead of that, I feel like they were more worried about, you know, Pepsi ads and, you know, and what kind of message it relays, which I get it. We're being advertised to all the time, but it's like, you know, it's not that big. I mean, for me, I feel that's my personal opinion. What do you think, Ashley?
I definitely agree that this should have not been the focus. I actually think it should have never happened, period. And I think what people are in
I agree with that.
I think what people are in an uproar about, and I am too. When I first saw it, I was just like, WTF, like, what? This doesn't even make sense. Is that she's supposed to be the symbol, and I like the essence of the commercial. I just don't like who they chose to be the symbol of, let's make the, you know, the change, almost like the Martin Luther King of this kind of era. I think that it's a really good concept. I just think they chose the wrong person, and I think they chose the wrong person because she doesn't symbolize any of the people that are struggling at the moment, where she's not, you know, LGBT community, she's not a minority, and she most certainly is not in the lower middle class financial section of the country. So I have no idea why they chose her, and I think that's why people are in uproar because
I have an idea. They chose her because they thought it was a good idea to put a Kardashian face or name into their commercial and it would get views, and lo and behold, it did. It got negative views and people had a lot of negative things to say, but again, it brought, wherever you have one of these girls that you have, extreme amount of attention and extreme amount of views and strong opinions.
I think that given the subject matter that, again, we know the Kardashians do a lot of things for attention and for money, but I feel like given the subject matter, Pepsi totally hit the mark. Like Ashley said, they totally, they represent everything that's wrong right now in the world, if you ask me. They represent greed. They represent self-centeredness. They, are privileged white women, and they've kind of gotten to where they're at the backs of minorities.
Well, aren't they? You say they're white, but I think they have a Persian background.
They're Persian, but
that's like saying
in the grand scheme of things, they're white. Huh?
Well. They're second generation
I don't think, and actually Kardashians are Persian, but Kendall Jenner is a white woman. I don't think anyone sees Kendall Jenner and thinks Persian. I don't even know if Chris is Persian.
No, I think he's straight up white.
Because the Kardashian, correct. You might be right about that. The father was.
Yeah, so not. I mean, I don't think that people see them and think they are minorities when they see them, and I think they represent a lot of what's wrong right now with society. It's shallow, it's greedy, it's all about me, and I think it was the wrong person to portray this message of
leading a revolution.
Yeah, leading a revolution and being inclusive. It was just the wrong person. I think that I know Pepsi issued an apology today, and they apologized to Kendall Jenner of all people, not to minorities or people that are actually out there protesting and actually getting killed by police through police brutality. Not to those people. They apologized to Kendall Jenner for inconveniencing her. And I don't know. I just think it was a big mistake on Pepsi's part. I know some people are getting fired after this.
I was just about to say that. Whoever's head of advertising there. I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah, they're definitely gone. After this whole...
And the problem with this is right now it's just a commercial, but 5 years, 10 years from now, this is a temperature gauge of serious changes that are happening in our life, in our history, in our country right now, in our generation. And I think why people are so upset is they don't want this little picture or temperature gauge of what's going on misrepresented. You know what I mean? Yeah. We don't want that because, well,
you know what I also felt about this whole, I felt like a little bit, again, I felt like this was minimizing what's been going on. I felt like this was a little bit like All Lives Matter to the Black Lives Matters movement.
Right.
It's kind of like, yeah, peace and love, but it's only peace and love because they're not affected by it.
Correct.
And I felt like it was very insensitive to the people that are affected by what's happening in the world and the people that are protesting. It was kind of like, Pepsi will make it all better. And I think that was minimizing everyone's struggle, that what's happening right now in the world.
Well, I think that you touched on something really good earlier in one of our previous discussions, was that people are very focused on differences. They're very focused on how we are different and not how we are the same. I think that the masses, black, white, Hispanic, all of us, we're all human beings at the end of the day. We all have feelings. We all have, yes, we have cultural differences, but we all are... We are all American. We are all working here to provide for our families. We all have ultimate goals, and eventually we all pass. And, I think that we have to focus in as a people, as people in general, to just get over the differences and not display, black, white, race. That's making it more important than what it is. You know what I mean?
I think that is a very very naive way of thinking. Like, yes, it would be nice to say we're all the same and kumbaya and let's hug it out. But the reality is this country has and continues to have systematic racism. This country continues to, within its core. It's not even like,
That's
on
okay,
the surface, it's the
not
institutions.
It's not a naive way of thinking. I think it's a positive way of looking at it. I feel as though because the leaders, okay, and I have a lot to say about this in regards to the older generation. The older generation, the baby boomers, whoever's in charge at the moment right now, is obviously not the millennials. The millennials are just young and they're getting their feet on the ground, and but as these people die, I hate to say that, but as these people pass away, there's going to be a shift in consciousness throughout humanity, and we're seeing it every day, little by little, and maybe we will see most of it when we're older, what I mean, when we're at our tail end of our lives. But because the people that run this country at the moment, run media at the moment, they're still old. They're a living, though. They're kicking, and they're still trying to grasp at the last straws, the last strings that they can of control, and their ideas that they're set in their ways. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm trying to say? I don't know if I'm vocalizing the way that I want it to come out, but these people are going to pass, and this time too will pass, and we have more open-minded people.
But I still think that's a very simplistic way of looking at things. Like, think about it. Segregation was 50, 60 years ago. Those people died, and we're still dealing with the racism that is just in our core. It's not even something that we can say, okay, we're not racist as a country, but there's certain things like perception, why police automatically assume a black man is a dangerous person, and will shoot them when they present no arms or anything like that. Just goes to a deeper psychological and prejudice that we have, that certain groups of people are bad and other groups of people are good. Like, those things don't go away because people die.
I agree with that. I agree they don't go away because of people die, but it starts with us, with each individual. You know what I mean? When we individually, teach our kids and implement that that's not the way it should be, then because, it's one thing, like media right now controls the masses because it's a very big form of communication. You know what I'm saying? But individually, I think, and trying to be more positive about the situation, it is a terrible situation, but there's other terrible situations going on all around the world. You know what I mean? Like what happened today, their government is just randomly killing and pouring acid on people and killing them for no reason. You know what I mean? But I think that individually we have to each take a stand to say this is not right. Open our arms, open our hearts to everyone, to include everyone. And maybe it's naive, maybe it's a positive way, but the only way we can do it and can work it little by little is individually.
I agree to that. I agree with Charlotte. I hope I'm not taking too much of
No, I'm what.
Did you have something that
I do, but say your what you're gonna say first, and then I'll.
Okay, I was just gonna say that I agree with what you're saying to a certain extent. However, we cannot diminish the experience of people. And I feel like before we can move forward and before we can heal, we need to acknowledge that there's been a problem. And I feel like certain people refuse to acknowledge, America refuses to acknowledge it has a problem. It wants to think that it was a problem of the past and it was fixed. It's not fixed. The problem's not fixed. So you can't move forward without acknowledging the problem. And when people say, all lives matter to Black Lives Matter, no one's saying all lives don't matter. What they're saying is that Black lives have not mattered in this country. Minority lives have not mattered in this country. And I think that, and maybe people don't want to admit it because it's shameful. Like, no one wants to admit that we are living in a racist society. But the fact of the matter is we are, and we need to acknowledge that before we can move forward. Being in denial is not going to get us anywhere.
Well, I'm not in denial.
I'm not saying you. I'm talking about society in general.
No, I realize that. I'm just saying
that's to me is the problem with saying all lives matter, and the problem with Kendall Jenner giving a can of Pepsi to a police officer, and it's like, ta-da! That's all we needed to fix the problem of racism in this country. You know, it's not that simple, and I think that's why a lot of people feel outraged by that commercial, because it just minimized their experience. And again, it's like, your life didn't matter. You know, we talk about the Holocaust all the time. Like, we study it at school. There's a gazillion Holocaust movies. There's like a Holocaust memorial. But when it comes to slavery or racism in this country, no one wants to admit it. It's like, it's okay. You know, we can admit that there was a Holocaust and that Hitler was anti-Semitic, but, you know, we kind of want to brush past our dark history here in this country. That's still happening. So I don't see anything wrong with acknowledging it and not trying to minimize it. I think it's still a problem, and I think we need to address it head on before we can move to the healing part.
Now, how do you suggest that we address it head on? Besides everyone complaining and you know, Pepsi, I think they did a good job of taking it down. I mean, as far as apologizing to Kendall, I mean, I think that was, you know, irrelevant in the scope of things. But, you know, we did do a good job today of making a point. But, you know, now that we'll move on, and there's other things to deal with. You know, there's other problems and topics to deal with. You know, I think that's just like the tip of the iceberg. The iceberg it's got so much hidden underneath the surface. You know what I'm saying?
Well, to answer your question about how do we move forward or how do we heal, having open dialogues like this, like not saying let's brush past it as a society, you know, addressing police brutality head on instead of saying, you know what, it was because this person was suspicious. You know, it's holding people accountable to their actions when it matters. I think that's how you start healing. And from that situation, I think why people are so hurt is because people won't even acknowledge that, you know, that like in certain cases the police acted out of line.
Did you veering off topic just a tad bit, did you guys see the OJ movie, the one that won the Oscar?
No.
Oh my goodness, you have to watch that movie. It was so good. And it kind of touches on this too, because I think during that OJ trial, I was like young. I was in elementary school when this happened.
Yeah.
But during that OJ trial, there was a black man that was brutalized by police, and, you know, the police got off on it, right? And so at that time, I mean, the movie really goes into the details of how, you know, the people and a lot of black people in the community, even though all the evidence pointed to OJ, they were still kind of like, you know, they were so happy when he got acquitted, because this was a win for us, you know, this was a win for them, you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, and then at that, it was just, you have to watch that movie. You really have to watch that movie. You can't.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. But yeah, I mean, OJ is kind of, there were other things that play with OJ. He was rich.
Yeah, that's a big factor, that he was, you know, a billionaire or a millionaire at the time. Because if he was just Joe Schmo, that wouldn't have gone the same.
It would have been a completely different outcome.
I agree.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Charlotte, do you have any thoughts? You've been kind of quiet.
Well, it's hard to. I wanted to let you both eloquently say, not duke it out, but eloquently say your different point of views. And I actually appreciate that we did have two different point of views, because if we're all in agreement, then it's not a real, true conversation. And I appreciate that we do have a different thought process on board here. But I personally think I agree that the problem is with the whole commercial. is that it should not have even happened in the first place with Kendall Jenner, because it's misrepresentation. And I think you're right. The problem with this is that people don't know. So how can they fix something that they don't know about, or they're, like you said, unwilling to acknowledge? The problem with the whole Black Lives Matter, like you said, it's nobody saying that not all lives matter. Absolutely all lives matter. But do you go to a cancer walk and say all lives matter? Well, of course all lives matter, but that's not who we're talking about. We're talking about cancer patients. They're the ones suffering right now, and we need to help them. Just the same, you know what I mean? Just the same. And the one problem I have with Black Lives Matter is that it's not just black people. It's brown people. It's yellow people. You know what I mean? Anybody who is out of quote unquote norm, you know, and that is real. And it's real, and it's hard. It's so difficult for people in the norm to see it because they're not living it. Do you know what I mean? It's even hard for us to say, you know, we're not immigrants, okay? So right now it's hard for me to relate to our immigrants, our fellow Hispanic people who are getting deported, shooed out of this country because I was born here. Right now I don't have that problem. But if the problem was pointed in my direction, I would be outraged, and I would not want my my troubles or, you know, misrepresented in public. You know what I mean? Because Cindy said something that was absolutely right. The media has the power right now. And like I said before, when people look back at this time, at this pivotal moment in our history, they're going to be looking at small things like ads and movies and stuff. And I want our struggles to be represented right, you know? And I do want people to be educated that this is a reality. It's a real. And I think that we're not going to understand it until we live it, you know, and go through that struggle. So it's real. And I think that I agree with Cindy. I think that I'm so glad they took it down. But unfortunately, it's out there forever. You know, once it's on the internet, it's always on there, and it's on YouTube. We have a copy of it. We have copies of it everywhere. You know? And we can't take it down, unfortunately.
You know what? I just want to end on a positive note because we were so heavy today, and we had a lot of good topics today. I just want to end on a positive note. I was talking to Mommy like yesterday or the day before about like them deporting immigrants and you know, Spanish people, and she was like, bueno, if they deport Spanish people, we'll just go, like we always just have a party, like we'll just it'll be like you know, it was funny, her reaction to it, because she was like, well, if they deport me today, you know, I'll just go to DR. I don't care. Like, I'll just, you know, go with the flow. They're not going to make me, you know, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But it was just funny because, you know.
You see, that's the thing. Like, to her, DR is her home. To us that were raised here and grew up here, like, Dominican Republic is not our home, you know? So I guess that's where the disconnect is. And for Jonas, who was born here and, you know, both his parents were raised here, like, for Jonas, like, Dominican Republic or Ecuador, you know, it's going to be somewhere else, you know? Home is the United States for him, you know? So.
And we just hope that in the future, when his name comes across in a pile of resumes, it's not dismissed because his name has a Latin tone to it, you know? That's all we hope for. We just want an equal chance and an equal opportunity in this country, because that's basically its whole motto, right? So we just want to make sure that it's living up to its word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
definitely.
So I guess we'll end on that positive thinking, and we're gonna work our hardest, right, to make that happen. I personally won't be supporting any company that puts out propaganda that paints us in a light that it's not true.
Well, I hate Pepsi anyway.
Yeah. So.
Very good. It was a good discussion. Access Sisters this week was good. I liked the talk. So I guess now we can segue into our weekly obsessions. Our hot product, formerly called Hot Product of the Week, weekly obsessions, and I'll start with Maddie and see what you have for this week, Maddie.
All right. So this week I have another podcast. I've been on a podcast kick lately, and this podcast is my favorite at the moment. It's Malcolm Gladwell's Revisionist History, and it's kind of hard for me to explain what it is, what the podcast is about, so I'm gonna just really tell you what I like about it. So this Revisionist History, Malcolm Gladwell talks about an event in history, and then he explains it in modern terms. So what I like about the podcast is the storytelling. Gladwell is great at telling a story. So when he's talking about the event that happened in the past, he paints a very vivid picture for you. Mm-hmm. So I love that about it. He brings it to life, and you really feel like you knew exactly what was happening at that point in time. What I also like about it is that not only does he go into history and go into detail about the event, he also opens up a discussion and exploration of the topic. So it's not just about what happened in history, but it goes into the psychology behind that event. Why did that event in history happen? And he explores the topic and explores the big themes and concepts around it. And, the podcast weaves history with human psychology and societal impact. And again, it's a little more serious. It's not fun and laughter kind of a podcast, but it's really, really good. It's very fascinating. If you are, you're in a kick for something with a little more substance, like, I love pop culture. I love funny. But every now and then I want to feel captivated and I want to feel challenged. I feel like this podcast does a great job of challenging yourself and making you think a little outside the box. And again, see things in a new light and bring it back to what's happening in modern day. So it's a really good podcast. It's been #1 on the iTunes charts. And there's a reason why, because it's fabulous and it definitely deserves a listen. So check it out when you have a moment. Malcolm Gladwell, Revisionist History.
All right.
Very nice.
Sounds cool. I'm going to have to check it out.
Product of the week is this, the new Eco Tools Define and Highlight Brush Duo. Now, for those that are makeup obsessed, I understand there's like a stigma where you have to buy expensive brushes so they can be good quality. I don't believe that's true. I've been through a lot of makeup brushes, and I have makeup brushes that have been over $50, and I don't even reach for them as much as I do my drugstore brushes. And this new line that came out with Eco Tools, this I got at Ulta for $12 for 2 brushes. So essentially they were $6 each. And I use these every day. I'm reaching for them every day. They are cruelty free. They are synthetic brushes. They will give you a high color payoff, and I just highly, highly recommend for anyone that is either new to makeup or is into makeup and you just wanted to get some new brushes, check out the Eco Tools brush because they are so soft and they do such a marvelous job. So that's my hot product.
Awesome.
Very cool. You gave me one of them, right? You mailed it to me, and I really like that one that you gave me.
I did. I mailed you that one. I gave that one to you, and I had to re-up my stash because I'm obsessed with the fan brush. So
yeah,
I got the duo this time.
Yeah, no, I like the one that you sent me. So if that's the one, then I do recommend it as well.
Charlotte, it's your turn. What is your weekly obsession?
All right, so this week I am bringing to you guys Drew Barrymore's Wildflower. It's not exactly her memoir, but it is a really fun read, and I want to give it to you guys a quick review in 30 seconds. Let's see if I'm up to the challenge. So, will you time me?
All right. Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
All right, Maddie, give me a countdown.
All right. On your mark, get set, go.
Okay, so Drew Barrymore brings us a story of her life in a non-chronological order about her young childhood, starting up as a child star, and also brings some super fun and relatable stories about being a mother, doing her film producing company, the Flower Company, and going to Africa and sponsoring some wonderful kids. But overall, it's a wonderful, funny read, and I absolutely recommend it for all women out there.
All right.
Awesome. Was that under 30 seconds?
It was 37.9.
Oh, no!
So pretty close, but not quite. You'll get better.
Hopefully.
Well, that sounds cool. So, was it a good read? I'm assuming you enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, it was really, really short. It was fun, and it just gave like a quick insight onto her, because I think she's been around for such a long time. During the time of E.T., she did a lot of movies that were before my time. She did a lot of movies with Adam Sandler. I didn't know that she had her own film producing company. I think it was called Flower Productions. She also has a school out in Africa. She actually sponsors a couple of schools in Africa. So I didn't know she was involved on all of this. And now, Cindy, I'm sure you know she has her own beauty line.
Oh, yes. They sell it at Walmart. Actually, I have her Flower Beauty powder brush, which I use on the daily.
Yeah, I've heard her translucent powder is pretty good. So I'm overall impressed.
So is she's not doing CoverGirl anymore?
I think she is still doing CoverGirl, but she has her own beauty line as well.
Yeah, she has her own beauty line with makeup, brushes, and all sorts of things. Yeah.
Cool. Good for her. I've always liked Drew Barrymore. She seems like, I don't know, there's just some Hollywood people where you feel like they're just very sincere and good people in general.
Absolutely.
I feel like she's one of those.
Yeah, and she delves into a lot of the troubled times that she went through, like going through rehab and all that stuff too. And
yeah, she had a pretty tumultuous youth. She was kind of like a wild child.
Yeah,
she was a wild child.
But I mean, a lot of things that you wouldn't have known about her. Her mom had when she was like doing ET and all that stuff, would bring her to like Studio 54. So she just had like an unconventional upbringing. She had to emancipate herself at the age of 14 years old, so she was on her own at 14. So it was just kind of like super interesting tidbits that you don't normally get on a regular interview, and I really liked it because she made it funny. Of course, she's Drew Barrymore, so she did excellent.
Yeah, she's great.
She did excellent, of course. So when you have time to listen to something, what I like about it, it wasn't very heavy. A lot of memoirs are heavy. They're heavy reads. They're somber a little bit. So this wasn't like that at all. Even though her life had somber moments, this was not a somber book. So it was very light, fun, and I recommend it for sure. So
cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Visit our website, sisternightpodcast.com, so you can get links to the different charities that you can contribute to, either financially or your time, to help with the Syrian crisis at the moment. Also to get links to everything we talked about in today's show. And we also want to remind everyone to send us their questions. You can do it at sistersnightpodcast@gmail.com, or you can go right on our website and we have a contact form where you can send in your questions.
Yay! Yes, send us your questions. Good night, guys.
All right, have a good night, everyone. It was fun.
Yes.
At least it was informative.
It was.
How about
and
that?
you know what? I think even though it was a little heavier than we usually do, we were passionate about what we talk about, and we think that our listeners will hear that. And yes, it might have been a heavy topic, but sometimes it was needed. It was a conversation that was needed, and we felt passionate about it, and maybe that will entice our readers to be like, to come back, you know?